Hi there, welcome to this WordPress class. If you're watching this video, it's because you want to learn how to build a website with WordPress. So it's either you want to build it for yourself, or maybe you have a brand, a business, and you feel you should have a website, or maybe you want to earn a living from it. So that means you want to build a website for people and then make money with it. So welcome to the class. So this video is going to be in parts. This first video is going to be more like an introduction, just introduce you to what WordPress is and also how you can get WordPress running on your laptop. Alright, so just before I go into how to get WordPress running on your laptop, it's important that I say this, that WordPress, before you can install WordPress on a website, normally let's say for instance you want to build a website for yourself, or maybe you want to build for a client. The first thing you would do would be to get what we call a hosting provider, right? A hosting provider. So a hosting provider is more like where your website will be hosted on, or the landlord of your website. Yes, let's use landlord. So it's more like the platform that will host or house your website, right? So there are actually many hosting services here. We have Namecheap, we have Hostinger. I'm sure you've heard of them, some of them before. We have Bluehost, we have Host, we have Domain King, and we have SmartWeb, and many others. So if you want to build a website, the first thing you need to do is, first of all, you need to get a hosting services, which ranges from it just depends on the hosting provider. It can cost as low as $3 a month. It can cost as much as $6, $7, $8, $10, $12 a month, depending on the benefits and the features of the plan you are subscribing for, right? So it just depends. And now, after getting the hosting provider, the next thing you need to get is what we call the domain name. So the domain name is more like a unique address for your website, right? It is a unique address for your website. So when you go on a website and you see www.something.com, that something.com is what we call the domain name. And it's very important you get a domain name after getting the hosting provider. You can also get the domain name before the hosting provider. There's no specific rule on how it should be. All right, now for the domain name, now it's important you get a domain name, because I would like to say this, it's just like I can liken it to CSC registration. You know, when you register your brand, your business with CSC, it means that no other person can come to use that same name to register, because you already registered it. So that's the way domain name operates. So let's say, for instance, I want to build a website for myself. My name is Richard Jackson, and I want my website to be www.richardjackson.com, right? So I'll just check if the domain is available, because who knows, probably someone has bought it or someone has not bought it. So if they haven't, well, cool. If they have, well, not so cool. So let's check domains. Let me search for my domain name, and so in a few seconds should be up. And all right, so that's it. So I want to search to see if my domain name is free. So if I say richardjackson.com and then I search, so it should tell me one, is it free or is it not free, and it also show me how much it would cost. If it is free, it will tell me how much it would cost to get that domain name for myself. So it's still loading. Okay, in a few seconds we should have the results. Okay, alright, so there we have it. So you can see the X sign there, which means that richardjackson.com is not available. Why? Someone already registered it in 1998, right? So you can imagine 99. That's that's sad. And so since richardjackson.com is not available, they are also telling me that I can use .bots, I can use .ai, and these are the prices for either of these domain names. And if I go down, I can see .1, .dev, and .io were registered in 2019 and 2016 respectively. So that means I can't even get .dev or .io, but I can get any of these ones here, and these are the prices that accompanies them. That is why it is very advisable that if you have a brand or a business and you know that you're going to have a website one day, it's important that you buy a domain name and just keep it. So even if you don't have even if you don't have a website yet, just buy your domain name and keep it, so that someone doesn't maybe use that domain name for their own website, just for you to be on the safe side. If not, it will not be any of the extensions .com or whatever you want it to be. You might now have to use a different extension. So that's how important the domain name is. So after you've gotten the hosting provider and you've gotten the domain name, you can now install WordPress on your website, on the server actually. But then, what if you're a learner and you just want to practice WordPress, right? You can't just go ahead to buy a hosting service and then buy a domain name just because you want to practice WordPress. So how can you run WordPress locally on your laptop, on your local machine, on your PC? How can you do that? Or maybe you're working on a website for a client, right? And you're looking for an offline or somewhere you could work on the website. You don't want to work on it on the like using the domain name, right? You want to use you want to work on this website somewhere else, right? Is it possible to run WordPress locally without getting a hosting provider, without using a domain name, or without getting a domain name? So that's where Xampp comes to play. So Xampp, XAMPP. So what Xampp does is that Xampp is what we call a local development environment tool that helps you run WordPress locally on your laptop. So even if you're using a Mac, there's also Xampp for Linux. For those who are using Linux and Apple operating systems, right? So there's Xampp for you. So like I said, Xampp helps you to run WordPress locally on your laptop. Now, so what you're going to do now is you're going to click download and download Xampp for your PC. So I always recommend you download the latest version, right? It's always advisable to download the latest version, which in this case is 8.2. So once you download it, I already have mine downloaded, so I might not download it again because I already have it downloaded, so I wouldn't want to download it again. Alright, so this is my Xampp. So let me just quickly run us through the installation process so that at least we know how to get it installed, so in case you want to do this on your PC. So so let's install this. So I'm using the Windows operating system. So if you're using a Mac or an Apple operating system, it might be different for you, right? So it might be different, but if you're using the Windows, which I'm sure majority should be using, then this is the process to take. Alright, so yes, Alright, yes, so yes, continue installation. Alright, so next, 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 and then installing. So in a couple of seconds, Xampp should be installed on your PC. And our Xampp app has finally been installed. So you're going to see an option that's asking you if you want to start the control panel of the Xampp app, and so you do that by clicking finish, and this will load up the Xampp application for you next. And our Xampp app is up and running. Now if you look at the Xampp app, you will see that we have something here. You can see that we have the Apache, we have MySQL, and we have FileZilla. Now all you're going to do is just start them. Apache here is serving as the server on which the WordPress will run on, and if you look at it, you see that status change detected, so the Apache is now running. Now after you've started the Apache, the next thing for you to run now is MySQL, so you just click start. Now MySQL here is going to serve as the database, right? It will serve as the database management software. So every data that is building the WordPress site and every other data that will be needed, everything will be saved in MySQL. So MySQL serves as the database of the website. And so if you look at this, so you see that MySQL is running. Now after you've done this, the next thing for you to do now will be for you to now go to your browser, because already you've created you've downloaded the Xampp app, and then your Apache and MySQL is running. The next thing for you to do now will be to go to your browser. So let's use a different terminal, a different tab rather. So you go to your browser and then you're going to type in something. You're going to type in http://localhost, and then you enter. And once it loads up, you will see that, so let's give it a few seconds. Now once you see this dashboard, it means that your Apache is running very fine. If your Apache was not running, then you wouldn't see this. but since your Apache is running, that is why you are seeing this. So the next thing for you to do after this is for you to create a database for your new site. You have to create a database for your new for this website you want to work on. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on PHP My Admin. You click on PHP My Admin, and then it takes you to a screen that will show very soon. And you should see something like this as the next screen, right? So now what's the next thing for you to do? The next thing for you to do now will be for you to remember, we're trying to create a database for this new site we're trying to build. So the next thing for you to do now will be for you to click on database. Yeah, it should be the first tab on the screen. Click on database, and when you click on it, you're going to see a create button. Alright, so this is the create button I was talking about. So what you're going to do here is you're going to put in a database name, right? In this case, I'm going to put here, what I'm going to put here is, let's say, site tests. Yeah, so I'm going to put there site tests, and then I'm going to click on create site test, then click on create. So database site set has been created. So great. And if you look towards the left side of your screen, and on this other sidebar, you should see the name that you created that database with here, right? Now once you're done with this, you can close this if you want, but I'm gonna keep it open, but you can close it. Now the next thing for you to do will be for you to install WordPress on your local host, right? So I'm gonna click here, and to install WordPress, you go to wordpress.org. Once it opens up, you should see a button that says Get WordPress, right? Get WordPress. Alright, so you can see this, Get WordPress. Now if you click on this, this is where it will take you to a page where you can download WordPress, or in some cases, if you click on that button, it will download WordPress automatically for you. Now it will download WordPress as a zip folder, but I already have WordPress which I downloaded already, so I wouldn't want to go through the process of downloading WordPress again. So I'm just going to go to the WordPress that I have already. So this is the WordPress I have. So it will download the WordPress as a zip file, right? Now what you're going to do is this. So take note of these steps. Now after you've downloaded the WordPress application, what you're going to do will be go to your local disk, right? You go to your local disk, and if you look at the folders there, you should see Xampp as one of the folders on your local disk, right? Now when you click on Xampp, look for htdocs, because the htdocs is where your site will live. Like this is where your site will live, the htdocs. So click into the htdocs, and then in the htdocs you're going to create a folder, and you can name it what you want, but in my case I'm going to name it same thing as I name my database, right? So I'm going to call it site test. I guess that was what I used, I think, site test. So I'm just going to call it the same thing as what I called my database. Now, and it's important you take note of what you're naming this thing here, because it's very important. You will need it later, so you need to take note of the name here. Now after you've done this and you've gotten your WordPress, the next thing for you to do now will be for you to copy or extract. So I'm going to go into this folder which is empty, and I'm going to go to my WordPress. This is it. I'm going to extract this and just extract the content and everything there. So extract files, extract to WordPress 6.42. Alright, it's extracting. And it's done. So what you're going to do now will be for you to copy the content of this extracted WordPress folder into this folder that you created in the htdocs. Now, one thing you need to note is don't copy the folder, copy the content of the folder. So we're going to go into this WordPress folder. So you're going to copy this content and then paste them here. And the contents have been pasted in my site test in the htdocs of the Xampp folder. Now the next thing for you to do now, you need to return to your browser. So I think I'm just gonna close some of these tabs here. I don't need them, so I'm just gonna close them. Okay. All right. And so you're gonna type this into the URL. You're going to type in localhost slash the name of the site or your WordPress site. So mine is site test. So what will determine this name that you have here will be what you have here. So whatever you name the folder in the htdocs is what you will call and put here. So slash wp admin means WordPress admin, then set up, because we're about to install the extracted WordPress on this website. So config.php, and then you wait for it to come up, and you're going to see what we call the WordPress install wizard. The WordPress install wizard, right? So you could maybe go through what you have here and don't maybe read it, but we're just gonna say let's go. Now the database name here will be the name of the database you created earlier. Now remember the database you created earlier, right? So I called my site test. So whatever you call the database is what you're going to create and put in here, right? And then you could leave the username as root. So there's no need for you to put any username. Leave it as root. You can remove the password, so no password, and everything can remain the way they are, and then you just click submit. So you should see this which says alright, you've made it through to this part of the installation. Now for WordPress, WordPress can now communicate with your database, so you now have to run the installation. So you click on run the installation. It will bring you to a screen and you can now input information here that as it pertains to your website, right? So you can just fill it. So what's the site title name? I'll just call it my site, nothing too special. What about the username? I'm just gonna use this. You could just pick a username. For the password, I'm just gonna put in my password. Let me hide this first. Alright, cool. I'm just gonna put in a password. So we have alright, and since my password is very strong, and then email, your email, you could leave that and then install WordPress. So it's at this point that WordPress now gets installed on the Xampp app locally. So after you're done with this installation, you will be asked to sign in, or should I say log in, to access your WordPress dashboard. So you're going to need to remember your username and your password. Your username and your password. Also, success, WordPress has been installed, thank you and enjoy. So this is my username and my password, so I'm going to click login. And so, yep, my username and then my password. You could just click remember me so that I get to remember, then you log in. So after this, you should see your WordPress dashboard. And so you have it, welcome to WordPress. So you can auto-reach content, you can customize your entire site using themes and the rest of them. Now we've come to the end of this first part of the video. Now in the next video, I'm going to take you through everything you're having on the sidebar here. So the home, the posts, media, pages, comments, appearance, plugins, users, tools, and a bit of settings. So I'm going to take us through this, and then we can start to create a website. So yeah, so there you have it.